Gregory Keene continues this story from Sherry Reed's apartment at the Cunningham Towers. We've always known that the NightShade ring was no local collection of criminals. Before I ever left for Australia, I was warned that they'd polished off 2 men, thousands of miles from the seat of their activity. Now I have to accept the fact that they've done it a 3rd time. At 6:30 this morning, Hong Kong time, Nick Barnes was found floating under a wharf at Kowloon Island. As fast as we open a chink in the NightShade gang's armor, they seal it up again. And we needed Nick Barnes. He told us more about the ring than we've learned from everyone else put together.
It's the systematic ruthlessness of them that gets me, Keene. Where were you when you heard about it?
In a pub in Phillip Street. They called for Murray on the phone.
Taking a risk, weren't you? Standing about drinking in public?
Yes, I expect so, Sherry, but I'm utterly fed up with creeping about undercover. Murray said it would be perfectly safe.
You're never perfectly safe, and you know it. Do you positively enjoy taking chances?
I positively detest inaction, and until something new shows up, that's all I'm going to get. Here we are, Cuts and me doing nothing but mark time hidden up here in this penthouse.
Rubbish. Look here, Keene, how long is it now since you arrived in Sydney?
About 3 weeks, just under.
In those 3 weeks, you've stirred up a hornet's nest. You've been battered and shot at. There's been nothing but murder and violence and danger from morning till night. You haven't stood still for a second, and all you can say is you're marking time.
Well, hang it all, we might as well be. There are Cuts and me and an entire Metropolitan Police Force. And if we saw Felix Huberman and Carlotta Magnani walking down the street, all we could do would be to raise our hats to them. While they reach out and assassinate people on schedule as far away as Hong Kong.
Well, sit down here with me and forget the whole pack of them for half an hour. What do you want for dinner?
Oh, nothing, thanks, Sherry.
Rot. I'll see you get fed, if nothing else. At least Cuts has a decent appetite.
Nick Barnes was enough to ruin anyone's appetite. There's such a finality about it. Not even a written statement left behind him. We can only plug along as we've been going, with a Luger in one hand and a whiskey and soda in the other. You know, I should be growing daffodils for a living.
In the event of my client not receiving satisfaction from you by the 14th of next month, we will have no other course open to us but litigation. Got that?
Mm-hmm.
Yours respectfully, Bernard C. Mendel. Get that off today, will you, Helen? The chap will litigate, but that suits me down to the ground. The case will go on for months, and in the end, no one will get a crack at me.
And some for me?
If you're a good girl.
It's wearing me down a little, Bernie. I'm long in the legs.
And lovely.
But short of patience. Being your girl away from the office and when your door's shut, that's fine. Being your secretary when your office door's open, that's fine too. But not for always.
Helen, don't rush your fences.
I have to take them sometime. I'm no chippy, Bernie. An occasional bracelet, the fur coat, the key money for the flat. None of these things make me a chippy. I want you to keep it in mind.
If you keep reminding me too often, that's the only thing that'll make me forget.
No, Bernie. You were indiscreet just once too often, and we really have to stay friends. You've a lovely front, but I know more about you than your partners. Don't you remember that little raid you made on the Woodbine Trust Fund?
Oh, that's been replaced and covered. And it was only for a few days.
But I happen to have kept a page or two from the Woodbine account. The entries you made to hide what you were doing were only in it for a few days, but oh, Bernie, what they show. Malpractice, is it? Misuse of monies entrusted to you?
You wouldn't come to light with that. I was up to my neck in the market. I was being pressed. I was only in the red for a few days.
It's all right, honey. You needn't get in a panic. But I do know you, and a girl has to look out for herself. You're going a long way, Bernie, with me behind you to push. One day I want to be in a position to enjoy your success, and I can't do it from where I am now.
You haven't done so badly.
But I'm going to do better. And you won't regret it. Cheer up, sweetheart. Want this letter done now?
Catch the last mail with it if you can.
You see, I'm still the perfect secretary. Tomorrow's the 2nd of the month, and the Hong Kong plane gets in at 3:30.
Plane from Hong Kong? What about it?
You have to deliver that letter to Mr. Nicholas Barnes.
That's right, so I do. If he's not on the plane, it has to go to Major someone or other.
Major G.G.A. Keene, the Cunningham Towers. Will you meet the plane yourself, or do you want me to look after it?
I'll see how busy I am tomorrow.
You know, Bernie, I thought when Barnes was in here, there was something extremely odd about that letter.
How do you mean?
It's sealed up with wax, isn't it?
Yes. Well, what's on your mind, Helen?
Oh, nothing. But I was just wondering if Major G.G.A. Keene didn't know it was sealed with wax, and Mr. Barnes wasn't on that Hong Kong plane tomorrow. Oh, any typewritten envelope would do to post it in. Wouldn't it, Bernie?
No, thanks. I'm not interested.
Well, I was only thinking aloud.
The cousin's brief, Mr. Mendel?
Yes, Thompson, in a minute. And that's all, Miss Linden. I'll decide about the Hong Kong plane tomorrow. And the letter.
Good evening, Carlotta, my dear.
Ah, Felix. Let me look at you. How elegant you are.
I thought so, too.
Have you talked to Tony Rico?
An hour ago. He'll keep the taxi man in line till we can make use of Mike Gusick again. But never mind Rico. I've had a cable from Hong Kong.
Ah, Martin goes.
Barnes was paid in full last night. Of course, gave me the details and code, of course, and you can concern yourself with him.
So, at last we have driven the final nail into the coffin of the late Major Gregory Keene. With Nicky Barnes dead, there is not a clue. There is not a soul left alive to throw light on the mystery of how Major Keene managed to disappear without trace on the way from Singapore to Hong Kong. I think we were a little bit clever, eh, Felix?
We showed a certain finesse. I thought the news warranted this red carnation.
Poor Nicky. He would have been flattered.
I shall drambuer him. Once more, we're completely impregnable. I feel like a liqueur on the strength of it.
We are impregnable but for one man, Fenner. There is much still to be explained. How did Fenner get the better of Halder and Wolf? Where did the gun they were shot with come from?
Must have been another man. Wolf must have been taken by surprise.
Then who was the other man? And how did he know Fenner had been taken to our house in Bolton Street? I tried to put these things from my mind, Felix, but they intrude themselves. And when I dwell on them, as I do now, the vague fears and doubts come creeping back. Perhaps we are not so secure.
Perhaps I'd better pause and drambuer for you, too.
Search your mind, Felix. Examine every possibility. Is there any way at all that Gregory Keene could have left something behind him?
No.
Then of what am I afraid?
There's nothing to be afraid of at all. We're in a better position now than at any time since we blundered with Bruno Kesselring. And we'll certainly never make the same mistake again.
Today I made an accounting. If we had to vanish, we would not go empty-handed.
How much has our NightShade ring earned so far?
We have £762,000 in the wall safe of this room. Our balance at the Bank of Zurich in Switzerland stands at just under 2 million Swiss francs. We have nearly $200,000 in the account of the Barcelona Traction Company at Ottawa, and just over £100,000 in various banks in South America.
Yeah. So you've drained about $1 million from the city of Sydney in the 2 years of operation. And you're worried.
$1 million goes a long way, Felix. There is nothing to stop us leaving for Central America within a week.
There's another $1 million waiting to roll into our coffers. With Barnes dead, the Kesselring affair closed for good, and only an odd hoodlum or two like Fenner to be accounted for. Not on your life.
Perhaps you are right.
Of course I'm right. Now come along. Let's not have you putting lines on your face anymore tonight. I've tickets for that German pianist tomorrow evening. 4th row of the stalls right on the aisle. What will you wear?
Oh, a black velvet cocktail frock with a mink stole, I expect.
Enchanting. Well, here's to Nicky Barnes. May he rest in peace. We didn't even have to pay him his £500.
Well, there it is, Helen. A plane from Hong Kong arriving on schedule. 12:30 on the 2nd of the month.
But is Mr. Nicholas Barnes on board?
We'll soon know.
Should we have asked at the desk? They always have a passenger list, don't they?
There's no point in attracting attention to ourselves. There they go with the steps. Now, watch for him closely.
The hostess, an elderly gentleman, one Chinese lady. I wish I could wear clothes like that, Bernie Mendel.
You do all right. Hello, the chap talking to the hostess now. Black hat?
That's not Barnes.
No, neither is the man, woman, and child. How many passengers is that?
About 20. There's still some more to come.
We couldn't mistake the chap. Ah, who's this?
Wrong again. Barnes was slimmer.
28, 29, 30. That looks like the lot.
Does the hostess always leave the plane last? Well, Bernie?
No Nicholas Barnes.
Back to the office?
I guess so.
What's it going to be, Bernie? Do we post that letter to Major G.G.A. Keene at the Cunningham Towers, or do we...
Let's get back to the office and have one more look at it.
But you know what you're going to do already, don't you?
Yeah, I think I do.
I had plans for today. I was going to put the welcome mat out for Nick Barnes, and I was going to use him to trap Carlotta and Huberman once and for all. But now it's too late. And I can only ask myself once again, where do we attack the NightShade ring now? What becomes of Nick Barnes's letter to Keene? Listen for the next chapter in this story of intrigue. Deadly Nightshade.